SHESLAYS, and welcome to another episode of She Slays Today podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lauryn Brunslick, and I have with me my trusty companion, I called you trusty, Kirby Brunslick.
What's wrong with calling me trusty?
I don't know, trusty companion. I feel like in previous episodes I've described you as like my loving and wonderful and handsome husband, and today you got demoted to my trusty companion.
I feel like it evokes like your trusty steed, like I'm your horse. I convey you from one place to another.
This may What are you doing with that LaCroix?
I'm not going to open it.
Well, you're not... Who drinks a LaCroix before recording a podcast?
Well, I've drank a LaCroix during a podcast, and we've discussed this.
Set the LaCroix down, son. Jeez.
If I run out of this water, I'm opening that LaCroix.
Anyways, I think that me calling you my trusty companion and my steed has to do with us probably being a little too much of workaholics lately.
We've been working.
We've been been drinking. Is that how that song goes?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Anyways.
You should know Beyonce better than I do.
Yeah. No, anyways, we'll figure it out after the episode. So, today is a lighthearted episode. We are just going to kind of like riff our favorite Christmas movies and what's effed up about them and just talk some Christmas joy.
Easy one, light one, fun one.
Yeah.
No one needs business advice 2 days after Christmas. Like, settle down.
Simmer down. You'll have 2021.
But before we get into that, let's discuss a little business.
You want to talk about reels?
Let's talk about reels.
Okay, so depending on when you're listening to this may be urgent news or it may be completely irrelevant and then just fast forward for a minute.
That's the sound of them fast forward.
Thank you. So if you were listening prior to January 3rd at midnight, well, actually January 3rd at 11:59 p.m.
And depending on your time zone, I'm not sure how it all works.
I'm not
sure.
Let
us know if you missed it by less than an hour due to time zone issues.
Then we'll say you listened to the episode. You should have been prepared for this. Anyways, my God, you just get me distracted. So if you're listening prior to January 3rd at midnight-ish, plus or minus a couple hours for time zones, then you still can buy the Reels for Chiropractors 101 mini course that we've been promoting all December, or most of December. It is, I don't know, if you're listening to the podcast and you haven't heard about the course, then I just am not doing my job on social media. But if this is the first time you're hearing about it, this is a less than 2-hour course that is full of very specific information for chiropractors, helping you really engage your local audience, get your reels seen, and get them to turn into patients. It is not a course to teach you how to do a gazillion fancy transitions so you become Insta famous or anything like that. Although we do talk about how to make how to do some of that techie stuff so your reels are super engaging. Because that's really kind of the point, is you want to keep someone's attention for long enough that they become a patient and listen to your message. So it's a good course. It's $39 and it's actually $5 off if you're listening and you use promo code SHESLAYS.
It's very cool. In editing it, I don't do a lot of the real stuff myself.
You don't do any of the real stuff.
I know, but so I've edited a bunch of video in my day. So it was cool to kind of see how Reels works and how it handles different things that I do in fully pro software. So I was fairly familiar with it, but it's oh, that's neat. You can do some of these things, and it's funny how they've simplified but taken really powerful tools that I'm used to using and made it accessible and usable for normal people to do.
Well, we don't even talk about this in the course, but our progression with Reels has gone way past just to our social media. You're right, because I don't know how to edit audio and make commercials, but between me and a CA, we can spend an hour, and shoot a commercial.
Yeah,
and
you guys actually, instead of just having me come over and film for 2 hours and then spend 5 or 6 hours, you guys will come to me with we need a touch up on this with some lighting stuff, and then run this ad.
Yeah,
and it's
run this
because
ad.
you know how to do this stuff.
Yeah, so it has really helped because on Facebook, video ads perform really well. And so it's like, it's not dependent on someone else. It's just like, I can make this ad and there we go.
Yeah,
boom. So
cool.
if you're listening prior to January 3rd,
Go get it.
go get it. All right. Review time?
Yeah.
All right. So this is someone she's one of our 3 people who listen on Stitcher. So Stitcher doesn't allow reviews. So she just sent me this in my DMs. So it is from Morgan Kumpala. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name, but I took a real good stab at it.
Took a flying leap at it.
Yeah. And it says, I've been listening to the SHESLAYS podcast since the beginning in June of 2019. Okay, like that's a real fan. She knew.
Yeah, like knew the month.
Yes. And every episode has been insightful in some way. Well, I hope we don't disappoint her with today's episode. Thank you for all that you do for chiropractic and by having these open and authentic conversation. And then she said, that's my 5-star review since I don't have iTunes, so I can't give a review there.
I like Stitcher too. That's personally what I use for podcasts.
Well, it's because we don't have iPhones. If
Yeah.
we had iPhones, we would use Apple Podcasts.
I think more, I don't know what the current stats are, but more people have Androids than iPhones. Just iPhone people
Do we
are
know for a
fancy
fact you
and snobby.
can't leave a review on Stitcher?
I'm pretty sure you can't. If you can, I don't know how. I've never done it, I guess.
Well, you're a terrible listener.
Well, I rate in other ways. I also do own an iPhone.
You are like the
to,
900
like that.
people who listen to our episodes who have yet to leave a review. Shame on you.
I'm an offline person. I tell other people about podcasts and gain listeners for my favorite podcast. We did an episode talking about our favorite things, and I've mentioned like Pete Holmes' podcast before several times.
We haven't done, well, I mean, we're doing that right now.
Yeah, like a favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're literally doing it right now.
Okay, I'm glad because I liked that episode. I wonder what episode that was. All right. Anyways, would you like to, do we need to do anything else? Do we need to, besides prayer?
Reels, review, prayer, episode. I think that's all.
Excellent. You want to lead us in prayer?
All right, sounds good. Dear God, Merry Christmas and Happy Birthday. As we're in this time of year, and it's easy to get lost in the rituals and the consumerism and the buying and the giving, help us to stay centered on the true message of your birth and going even deeper, not staying with that image of a comfortable little baby Jesus who's perfect, but remembering your true message through life, of all the work you did and what you encouraged us to do, to seek out the poor, to seek out those who need help, to associate with those who others won't associate with, and still be kind and show mercy. Help us to find that spirit and not just stay in comfortable bubbles. In your name we pray. Amen.
That was so nice. I feel like that was the prayer that I've been trying to regurgitate this month. And I just kind of like go on ramblings and like, I'm like, what am I even saying? But like, yeah, there's a lot of.
Well, I've been reading a like daily devotional thing by Richard Rohr that's like preparing for Christmas. And a lot of it is more talking about like, adult Jesus's message. Because I feel like Christmas gets really
Baby Jesus.
And it's all simple and like there's gifts and like
8 pounds, 7 ounces.
Oh, what is that? Talladega Nights?
Yes, it is Talladega Nights. 7 pounds. Anyways.
8 pounds, 7 ounce, I think.
That was how big our kids were, though. So
Well,
maybe
I think
just
they're like a little
that.
baby Jesus.
Okay, I don't think we've talked about Ty's obsession with baby Jesus.
Oh my God, Ty loves baby Jesus. Our youngest daughter.
So Ty, our youngest daughter, who is a spirited, strong-willed. I know you're not supposed to Enneagram type, but she's an 8.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know the Enneagram, look up an 8. Their spirit animal is a honey badger. And that
Honey
is
badger
Ty.
don't care.
Although, oh my God, she's crazy. Like, what is up with the way she's been walking around the house lately?
It's like a frog walk, kind of.
So it is exactly how the cave child in The Good Dinosaur walks.
Yeah, like using
But we
your,
haven't
like,
watched The Good Dinosaur in 3
like
years.
Yeah, a couple years at least. So yeah, it's like hands on the ground and like kind of a jumping forward motion.
And she's been doing it for weeks.
Yeah, but like she'll she'll do it for fairly long distances and like when you wouldn't expect it. Like she'll be walking around the house and then
She does walk normal.
Yeah. And then she'll sit down for a while and it'll be like, okay, go brush your teeth. And from like the couch through the dining room, down the hallway into the bathroom, she will do this weird caveman walk without like mentioning it or being like, look at me. It's just like, oh, I need to get that way.
I don't know if we should be concerned or not. But she has been obsessed with baby Jesus.
For a long time.
For a long time. She has stolen baby Jesus out of her grandparents' like plastic nativity, like the big light up plastic nativity
it's like
scenes.
2 feet long, swaddled baby Jesus. And it's plastic and it's old. It's from like the 80s. And she'll like make a bed for it and like have it sleep next to her, to her
Last year,
bed.
her birthday cake.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so a couple years ago, I was at a thrift shop and I found a nativity Mary, Joseph, and Baby in a Manger candle set. So it was 3 separate candles, the wicks coming out of Mary's head, a wick coming out of Joseph's head, and a wick coming out of the umbilical area of baby Jesus. Now, naturally, they had not been lit, even though you could tell they were old as F, because
Who's going to burn baby Jesus?
Who's going to light Mary's head on fire and baby Jesus? So I bought them because, you buy those candles, but hadn't lit them. So last year, Ty's birthday is November 27th. She wanted baby Jesus, a baby Jesus birthday cake. And I'm like, what? So then I go like, that's what I'm going to do. I am going to light baby Jesus candle. So we just made her like a normal cake. And then I put this candle of baby Jesus in a manger on top of it and lit baby Jesus on fire. She loved it.
She's very happy.
Yeah. So anyway, she continues to be a weirdo. So,
all right.
We're not drinking because I have to go back to work this afternoon.
Boo. Well, you're not drinking.
Kirby's been drinking, not the LaCroix. But if you were going to drink a Christmas drink for our Christmas special, what would you drink?
I am a big fan of Tom and Jerry's.
Yeah.
And there's one store around us that like makes a particularly good one.
Is that a Midwest thing? Tom and Jerry's?
I think so. So it's like this egg white nutmeg.
I can't believe you can drink.
I can't drink too many of them.
Oh, and then you have to go to the bathroom.
I'm like mildly allergic to eggs. So yeah, if I had like a whole day, I wouldn't have more than one. But yeah, there's a fair amount of eggs in Tom and Jerry's. But yeah, it's like this marshmallowy fluff stuff that you mix with. We do brandy.
Our kids just get hot water.
Yeah.
But like, traditionally Tom and Jerry's are an alcohol drink. So it's really funny when like other adults hear our kids go like, oh, I love Tom and Jerry's. And we're just like, they do.
We just put a little brandy in there. What would your Christmas drink be?
So I am definitely not Tom and Jerry. I would say either like a rum chata kind of like white liqueur drink, or I would do mulled wine.
Good mulled wine is nice.
But like you're supposed to add extra alcohol to mulled wine, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think also typically brandy.
Yeah. So we both picked brandy drinks.
And there we go. We're truly from Wisconsin.
We are.
Isn't the stat like Wisconsin drinks like 80% of the United States brandy input or intake or whatever? That's something insane.
I think the stat is that Wisconsin drinks 80% of this United States alcohol.
Yeah, it's something nuts like that.
Weren't you just telling me the other day?
Yeah, so it was a thing I saw on Facebook. I don't know if it's truly true, but it was an argument between people saying like a European saying like, I don't get what the big deal of people saying Americans drink harder than us. Like me and my mates drink all the time. And someone said, I once went to a resort in Mexico where they were having a drinking contest and they pre-disqualified everyone from Wisconsin and said they weren't allowed to compete, which didn't make sense to me.
Oh, yeah, it's valid. All right, so you would be drinking your drink. I'd be drinking mine, but we're not.
We're not.
So let's debate.
Top 5 Christmas movies. First, should we talk about things that we don't like so people aren't like waiting for their favorite one? Because like, I feel like there's some stuff one of the things I hate is when people go like, what's the best Christmas movie of all time? And then someone goes, Die Hard. Go F you. Yeah. Not a Christmas movie. Just because it takes place during Christmas or there's like a tiny little element. Christmas is not the focus of the movie. Or they'll say like it like
released during Christmas.
Yeah. Like that, Gremlins, like, no.
Doesn't count.
Like, the movie's not about Christmas.
Right.
Like, so I just get mad. Like, I'm going to get
I know. Like, you're on a soapbox. Like,
the other thing that I don't do, I know personally other people do like, but I don't do like the scary Christmas movie, like Krampus. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Like Adam Scott, I think, is in it.
No.
But like, I want to feel good during Christmas. So those aren't gonna.
Well, you know what's hard is like, so Love Actually didn't make it onto my list or the holidays, but like, right, the holiday.
Oh, the holiday? Yeah.
Yeah, with Cameron Diaz.
Yep.
And, but I do really like those. And there is like some like adultery and there's
That's
some,
why
like,
they didn't make my list, because I like complicated.
Again, they didn't make my list.
Yeah.
We haven't watched that.
I like complicated movies normally, and I like a good storyline, but like when it's Christmas time, I don't like to be confronted with like really difficult emotions or sadness.
I mean, you do know that Tiny Tim, like,
I think
dies in...
He does or he doesn't, depending on Scrooge's actions.
I know.
Well, I mean, I guess that's heavy. Some of my
And
ones...
you know that, like, some people try and murder an 8-year-old in Home Alone. So, like, where your gray line is...
Yeah, I think it's that issue of... I think I don't like adultery in my Christmas movies.
Okay.
That's
fair.
That's probably my statement.
Is fair.
That's the pull quote from this episode.
I definitely don't like adultery in my Christmas. Okay, so I'll go first with number 5. Or did you have any more qualifiers?
No, let's start with number 5.
Okay, so my number 5 is The Christmas Chronicles.
It also made my list.
But not number 5?
Not number 5.
Oh, you like it more than me. I'm interested. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so who are the people in that?
So it is Kurt Russell and some kids.
Yeah, we don't need to but yeah, it's the Kurt Russell and his wife. Who's his wife?
Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn, thank you. If you haven't seen it, it's great. And they came out with a second one. So
I didn't love the second one.
I thought the second one, no sequels actually made my top list. And you don't need to share, but yeah. I thought it was great, though. I would definitely watch it again next year, but yeah.
And the girls like it. They call it the one where Santa goes to jail.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really fun, it's a fun take on Santa Claus that's like him as not...
I think I like Goldie Hawn's. I think that might be my favorite part of it, is that Goldie Hawn is, and I did like this in the second one.
You gotta give a spoiler thing, too, though, if people haven't watched it.
Well, oh my gosh, it's a Christmas movie.
All right, fine.
Spoiler alert. Santa Claus has a wife. So I did like a lot in the second one that they continued Goldie Hawn's character, and she was not like this fat, frumpy woman who just makes cookies. Like, she was healthy and opinionated, and I liked it.
Yeah.
I like myself a healthy, opinionated woman.
And the elves in that movie are great.
You and the kids like that impersonation of the elves. They're funny.
They're like little Norwegian.
It's not how I think of elves.
It's not how I think of elves necessarily either, but
we'll talk about that because my movie gets okay. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is actually not a full-length movie, but like a 25-minute adaptation for TV thing. Mickey's version of The Christmas Carol. Like
you
the
are
Disney
such
one.
an old soul. I love you so much.
I loved it as a kid. I like that it's simple enough and not so scary, like as the Jim Carrey one.
We watched that while our kids were like having quiet time the other day, away from us, because you can't watch the. You
can't watch that with a kid.
Who did they make
Robert
that movie
Zemeckis or whatever is who made it. But yeah, I think at least 3 times during the movie, we looked at each other and started laughing and went, again, who is this for? It is terrifying. Like the kids under the robe.
Oh,
like,
God.
The super scary like skin details on people with like acne and pox, and it's a bit extra.
It's extra, but that's not your number 5. You like Mickey.
I like the Mickey one, and I like the
the Christmas Carol, so the one with Tiny Tim.
Yep.
Tiny Tim potentially dies.
But he doesn't.
But for a moment, you thought he
loves
might.
him.
Okay. Number 4?
My number 4?
Yeah, go ahead.
My number 4 is Elf.
Elf is my number 2.
Oh, okay. It's just
and
so
it
good.
almost fought out for number one, to be honest. Like, I go back and forth, but Elf. And we were watching the Christmas movies that made us.
Yeah, on Netflix. That's fun. It's definitely worth a watch. Super fun and interesting to hear the different ways that movie almost didn't get made. And
Will Ferrell, like, they didn't like that they had chosen Will Ferrell. And, like, this movie, I don't want to say launched Will Ferrell, like, SNL, but, like, made Will Ferrell, like, a highly considered actor. Yeah.
I think, what did they say? Originally, they didn't, when they said they got Will Ferrell to do it, the studio wasn't happy. And who were they originally going to have do it that, like, the writer said, like, nope, I'll wait.
I don't remember.
I think they had someone else attached to it originally, but it's so funny to think of anyone other than him. I mean, he's just so perfect.
Yeah. So that is how I picture elves is from Elf, not Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
But
he's a human dressed as an elf.
Correct. I'm saying how the elves are
when they're at the North Pole. Yep.
Is how I think elves are. So.
Cool.
There we go.
I was going to make a forced perspective joke, but I figured it wasn't going to land. Because that's how they shot those to make them look smaller. Like, they were all in the same room. Yeah. They were just farther back. But. Okay.
Cool. I liked the magic of thinking that they found elves. But now you just ruined the...
Sorry about that.
Okay. By the way, 8 pounds, 6 ounces is...
so close.
How heavy baby Jesus was predicted in Talladega Nights. My number 4 is National Lampoons.
That one didn't make my list. I do love it, though.
Would it, like, if you had a 6th spot, would it, like, have been 6 or, like, only in the top 10?
Definitely top 10. I'm trying to think of... I didn't make a full top 10, but it would have been definitely in the running for 6. Because we watch it every year. I always remember watching it every year.
We watched it with our kids, which, we only have to fast forward through that one, like, weird naked lady scene. We probably should fast forward through the weird, like, him saying his wife is dead scene, buying lingerie from the woman.
Yep, that's a big part of it. There's just some stuff that you don't realize, too, how much stuff goes over their head for now. Yeah. Like, I think the next couple of years are going to be when Charlie starts to pick up on things.
I think it's going to be a lot longer.
You think so?
Yeah. I really do.
Very clever. But.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that's my 4. And, yeah, I like that movie.
That's a good one. Very quotable. And I like that it can spawn theme parties, too. We did a theme party a couple years ago. Yeah, that was nice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My number 3?
Yep.
The Santa Claus 1.
That is...
Did that not make your list either?
None of the Santa Clauses.
What the H is on your list? Well,
So I've got Mickey's Christmas Carol, I've got Elf, and number 3 was Christmas Chronicles.
Okay, all right. I mean, the Mickey one...
Actually, you know what? Santa Claus probably would have been my 6th. I like that better than the National Lampoons.
So good.
Tim Allen's just great.
And the first one. Like, now, I do think that they do a great 2nd and 3rd. Yep. But I don't even know...
I like elements of 2. 2 is the one where he's getting married, right?
Right.
The toss across joke is still so great.
Yep, it is. There's some good. The 3rd one, like, with anything. The 2nd one was better than the 3rd. But
but the 1st one is really good.
I get frustrated in the 3rd one because it's the one where her parents come up and they're just so rude. Like, it is literally Christmas Eve day and they're getting mad at him because he's, like, too busy to decorate the tree. First of all, who are these people who decorate their tree on Christmas Eve?
Yeah.
Like, I hate when movies
Santa
do that.
And you're decorating. Yeah, that didn't make any sense. And, well, I mean, in the parents' defense, they think he's just a factory owner of a toy shop who's, like, neglecting his pregnant wife almost near her due date on Christmas. But if you're the owner of a toy shop,
yeah.
Or of a factory, I guess.
So anyway, I would also like to say that is a soapbox of mine that I do not like when they pretend, or like when they show a family decorating the Christmas tree, like on Christmas Eve. Like, what are you doing? You missed out on so much joy. You should decorate that tree in November.
Yeah, we get our tree like early mid-November.
Yeah, you would get it in October
if I could. Of course I would. You know what's a weird thing with the Santa Claus? So think about this. I read about this a long time ago and I haven't thought about it until this moment. So Santa Claus falls off the roof.
Yes.
And by the time Tim Allen gets to the North Pole, like they're already like ready for him and explaining to him that he's the Santa Claus. But in the Santa Claus 2, there's a clause that says you have to be married to be Santa Claus. So let's assume that the Santa in Santa 1 had a wife. He died and these elves shipped her off by the time the new guy flew home.
I never thought about that. What happened to Mrs. Claus? That's a really interesting point. Bye, bitch.
You got to get out.
See, in this, Goldie Hawn would never have allowed that.
Would never.
She would have been like, no, I am Santa now.
Yeah. Kind of like a Noel twist, which I do like that movie a lot, but it's not top 5 worthy.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's top 10, but like...
Yeah, I don't think...
I haven't watched it, but like, I would have watched it if you guys hadn't watched it without me. So... All right, are you to your number 3?
My 3 was Christmas Chronicles. Yes. So my number 2, It's a Wonderful Life.
I mean, I'm glad it's on your list because I think we would get hate mail if it wasn't on one of our lists. But
it's good.
It's fine.
It's a beautiful story.
Okay, actually, is it really that good? Because didn't it not? I'm speaking out of my butt a little bit here, so hopefully,
you're right.
Like the first time they released it, it didn't do well. Didn't become famous until they like.
No, from what I remember, it got played all the time because it was easy to get the rights to it because it had failed. So like some syndication deal made it super cheap to air, so it aired all the time.
Right.
And then people just got used to it because it was always playing. But I mean, Jimmy Stewart's a classic actor. It's a great story. I love it. It's fun though.
It could be edited
the
down.
Dancing scene with the pool opening up and Caesar's petals.
I think I'm seeing a trend and I think I know what your number 1 is. And okay. Anyways. Yeah, it's fine. I save it. It's my stepdad's favorite movie, so I'm sure we'll watch it on Christmas Eve. You know what didn't I know this is not your number 1 and didn't make my list either is
A Christmas Story.
A Christmas Story.
I never got super into that. I like it. It's fine. I know people who like literally watch it on repeat on Christmas. I just never was that person.
I think I've never sat down and watched it to beginning to end because they play it on repeat. So on Christmas Day, I'll sit down and be like, oh, Christmas Story. And I'll watch it, but knowing that, like, then we'll go sledding or something. I'll be like, oh, I can just watch the rest of this later, but I never, like...
Yep.
So I don't know. I would actually like to sit down and watch it from beginning to end. Because I don't think I've ever done it. I'm sure there are tons of parts of that, and it's a good movie. It should be in our top 10, but it's not.
It's just not my style. Oh, you know what was terrible? Remember when ABC was trying to do like those live TV shows, and they tried to do that one? That was weird.
Yeah,
all those were weird. The Peter Pan one was weird. What else?
Yeah, but we're not like theater people.
Yeah, no, they felt like
I like plays. Theater. Sometimes when I'm at the theater, but not all the time. And so when you take theater and put it on TV, I'm just like, oh, I'm bored when I'm at the theater. So now that you put it...
Well, you should take these cameras that you have and
turn this into a movie.
Turn this into a movie with editing and setting up different scenes.
Okay, speaking of which, number 2 for me is Elf.
Come.
And we saw Elf the play, which was boring and bad.
I did not like it nearly as much. And I think...
because it wasn't Will Ferrell.
Yeah, it really suffered from comparison of like when you're expecting the kind of elf Will Ferrell is and the funniness that he brings, and then it's just like some little guy jumping around who is not Will Ferrell.
Yep. So 2 was Elf, but that was a close call for me.
What is your number 1?
Do you want to guess?
What are we going through already?
Oh, are you even paying attention?
I feel like it's going to be obvious as soon as you say it.
Well, I'll guess yours then, and give you time to actually get to know me. So yours is A White Christmas.
Yeah, of course it is.
Which we also saw play. I liked the play, actually, of A White Christmas. I would do that again.
I think it lends itself better to a play because it's naturally like, it is a musical And
So A White Christmas. Here's the deal. I don't get it. So these guys are like
big time producers,
but there's a military aspect happening.
Have you ever watched the movie?
Most of the time I'm on Instagram while you're watching it.
Okay, so it starts with they're actually in World War II. They're like on the front lines, but it's Christmas Eve, so they're doing like a show for their troop. Within their troop is Bing Crosby's character, who is like a famous person before.
In the show.
Yeah.
Or in the movie. He's famous.
He's already
goes to World War II.
Goes to World War II, meets his partner, who is played by Danny Kaye. I always forget his name. I had to write it down. And they like are just doing this show within their troop. They get attacked. Danny Kaye saves Bing Crosby's life. Then when they get back after the war,
why do they need all that?
It's a great. Well, they needed to show like how they got established, introduce the general.
Like It's a Wonderful Life. It's like, I mean, you could just edit that. Like, okay. So, anyways, they're friends.
Yep. So they get back from the war. They start working together. They become big producers. That's how they meet the girls. Is they're checking out a show for
Sisters.
See, you love it. It's a great movie. There's some great musical numbers. There's some really good dancing. There's the creepy spider lady.
Okay, the creepy spider lady, though. Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird.
Her legs are... I mean, she invented the lack of thigh gap.
Yeah, so Vera Ellen is her name. I looked it up. Yeah, it's the weirdest body ever.
I think they do talk about that, like she had body issues. So I don't want to shame her for being skinny.
The thing I don't understand.
She has some mental health stuff. But she also might be a professional dancer. And then it's like, well, shoot.
Well, that's what I didn't understand is how her legs could be so small, but like still be able to dance like that. Like it doesn't seem possible. It looks like you can see her bones and there's no muscle there, but then like she can do all of that, which is just nuts.
Anyway, so they go to a resort and the resort is going to close down or something. COVID happened. I don't know.
Yep, COVID. It's a story about COVID. So they go to the resort, which they find out is run by their old general, and it's going to go broke.
That's why they care so much about the resort, is because he's general.
Yep. And he has nothing to do because he even said he wanted to re-enlist, but like there's no place for an old guy in the army, and that's the ending song, and you know, some of the ending songs about like there's no place for a general. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. You should watch it sometime.
But then they get all these people to come for the show.
Yep. Okay. So they call up their old army buddies, or they go on TV and like they call all the people who were like in their regiment or whatever, and everyone goes up there to like save them and pay respect to the general. And then in the end, it ends up snowing too, so it works out for everyone.
Okay. That's good. I'm disappointed Home Alone didn't make it into your top 5.
I'm going to guess that's your number one.
What kind of monster are you? Like, I'm seriously like, what?
I really like Home Alone. It's definitely top 10. So now we know like what's in my like 6 through 10 are involved Santa Claus.
Home Alone, if you knew me, it is number 1.
I really like it. It's just not as much as these.
Charlie didn't like it for the longest time because it's slapstick comedy.
And yeah, she doesn't like people getting hurt.
She was okay with it this year, though.
Yeah, she was all right. She also like cringes or like doesn't like whole sections of America's Funniest Home Videos because like, which I don't like either when people are actually, when you're like seeing it, you're like, that guy had to go to the hospital. I hope they win $10,000 to like cover that.
Yeah, I think one of the funniest parts of Home Alone is the cops just like, you left your kid at home. Like, there's a crazy lady. Like, they don't look into it. Like, yeah, there's a lot of really funny. Oh, and that the guys were going to murder the child.
Yeah, they were about to, like, murder the child. And when the old guy hits him with a shovel. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
If you haven't watched this movie from 1992 or whatever.
Yeah, I really like that aspect of the movie. Where, another weird part of the movie.
The old guy?
The old guy. Another weird part of the movie is that on Christmas Eve at 8 p.m., because it's late because he runs home to quick heat up mac and cheese and like set all the traps. So it's like 7 or 8 p.m.
I mean, it gets dark. It's based in Chicago, so it's dark at 4:45 in late December in Chicago.
Let's say it's 5 p.m. Okay. On Christmas Eve. The kids are in full robes, so they're doing like a dress rehearsal at 5 p.m. on Christmas Eve for their Christmas Day show the next day, and nobody's there watching it. All the parents are like gone.
Yeah, there's like 8 people in the pews.
Yeah, so he's there. But I do really like that moment. I like the musical aspect of that moment.
Yeah.
And you
the
know,
whole
it's
score
just,
for the music of that movie is really good.
Yes. And yeah, I just think that it's a really nice moment where he realizes that, you know, he's an old guy, but he's not scary. Now, what they did in number 2 with the SNL skit, oh my God. Anyways, in number 2 with the homeless
The bird lady. That was.
I'm not a fan of the bird lady quite as much.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. Well, it's funny, like when you watch them close together, like how many of like they were just like, let's take the exact formula for one and just be like boom, 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 boom.
Gosh. Yeah. So there we go. There we have it. Our top 5 Christmas movies.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I hope that you guys had a wonderful Christmas. And
oh wait, we got to do like a speed round of
speed
like
round?
little
What the
extras. I want to know. So, what's your favorite rendition of The Grinch?
The new cartoon one.
This one, me too. Favorite version of A Christmas Carol. I looked up. There are at least 21 versions of Christmas Carol. So like, there's the
famous.
famous.
We know yours is the Mickey one.
Yeah, the Mickey one is great. The Robert Zemeckis, Jim Carrey one. There's Muppets. There's the Patrick Stewart, like, classic one. I think they counted Scrooged, the Bill Murray, like, adaptation. And then there's just, like, a bunch of different cartoon and old ones from, like, even as early as, like, the 30s. So what's your favorite?
I don't know. I guess Mickey.
You just don't F with Christmas Carol?
No, I mean, I'm glad we watched the Jim Carrey one, but it bothers me how creepy it is. So I guess I'd say Mickey.
It's really creepy. I don't think the girls have even seen the Muppet one, and I haven't seen that in years.
That's because it's annoying.
Oh, I think it's funny.
Why is it in your top 10?
You were just really mad that I didn't pick Home Alone.
I mean, a little.
I think, who was it? Family Guy made fun of Home Alone, of like a version of Home Alone with competent robbers. And they like walk inside and he like steps on a car and doesn't fall down because you wouldn't fall down if you stepped on a car. And he goes like, hey, Marv, watch out. There's cars on the floor there. Yeah. And the other guy's like, yeah, the doorknob was hot, but I just let go of it. I didn't hold on to it.
I didn't hold on for it for 10 seconds. So, okay.
Favorite Miracle on 34th Street, old one or newer one?
Wait.
There's like an old classic one.
And by newer one, do you mean the one with the girl from Matilda?
Yes.
Okay, well, definitely the newer one.
Okay, and then follow-up question.
How old is that?
Is the star of that, is the male lead of that Dermot Mulroney or Dylan McDermott?
Oh, Dylan McDermott.
You're right.
Yes.
Good job.
Mm-hmm. Mulrooney is in My Best Friend's Wedding, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. What's your favorite?
It's funny because I think the newer one is cheesier, but I do like the newer one too. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just like when I watched it first or whatever, but like I'm connected to that movie more.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh.
Is that the last year's speed round?
That's all I got.
All right. Now can I say goodbye to people?
Sure.
This is the last episode of 2020.
Yep.
I'm sure by next episode everything's going to be different.
Everything's going to turn around. It's going to be totally fine.
Yep. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Honestly, truly thank you for the support of this podcast. I don't have a prepared speech because I didn't even realize like that this was the last episode. But like, thank you to everyone who listens, and thank you to everyone who shares, and everyone who sends sweet messages and funny DMs. Like, we appreciate you a ton. Because I would have, if this wasn't successful, like if we didn't get the amount of listeners, I would have quit this a long time ago. Next. That's the 7 in me. All right. Well, so, thanks for making it successful. So we
beautiful
keep
holiday sentiment. Keep validating me, otherwise I'll quit.
Okay, well, you say something nice.
I think you were really good where you were of like, thank you for listening. This has meant a lot. The participation and hearing from people that the work that you're doing and that we're doing is helpful to them is really touching and makes it all worthwhile. And I would love to hear people's favorite Christmas movies too.
Oh, yeah.
And why they think we're wrong, or if they knew other interesting things about the movies we picked. I always like reading that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Alrighty.
So send us a message.
All right. Well, Merry 2020 and Merry Christmas, and see you next year.
Merry Christmas.